Let's install Ubuntu, the latest version of Ubuntu on Virtualbox. First we launch Virtualbox. I have a shortcut here, but I'll also show you how to open it from here. Just in the search box, type in Virtualbox. I'm on the Windows 11. That's Oracle VM Virtualbox. Once Virtualbox opens, we can create a new instance of Virtualbox. So click the new button. We give it a name. I'm just going to call it dev since it's going to be my development environment. This is the location to be installed in. It's not going to be Windows, it's going to be Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Linux operating system, so click Linux, and then in version, we are just going to look for Ubuntu, and I'm on a 64-bit machine, so it's going to be 64-bit. If you have 32-bit, select 32-bit, but I'm going to be 64-bit. Click on Next. Next, I have about 12 gigs worth of memory here. You want to choose a decent sized amount of memory since we're going to run the Ubuntu desktop. So I'm probably going to choose about 4 gigs worth of memory, and that's 1496 megabytes. Go ahead and click Next. Then I'm going to create a virtual disk. Create. I usually choose VHD because it's transferable between different systems. You can use VDI or the other one too, but VHD will be more transferable between systems. You can dynamically allocate it. If you have the space or the disk space available, I suggest fixed space disk size. Things will go much faster. And I think a decent size for a development machine would be, it already start creating it because I click create, so I click the X because I want to change it to 60. And then I want to click create. This will take a few minutes to get completed. I'm going to pause the video and come back to it when it's done. You'll see that this icon has disappeared and we're probably on to the next step. So we're now down to 29 seconds. I don't know if it really only takes 29 more seconds, but just wanted to show you the progress happening here. I'm just going to pause the video a little bit more longer. So we're almost done. A few more seconds remaining, whatever a few more seconds means. There we go, and we are done. So since this is done now, we can kind of start the VM, the dev VM here. It's powered off. There's multiple options to start. We're going to do a normal start. But before we're going to do a start, we're going to do a few more settings. So make sure I highlighted the dev, then settings. And from here, a few more things that we're going to change is, one that's recommended from another video I looked at YouTube was, let's get as much video memory as we can. Not sure what that's going to do to my system, but we'll see. As far as monitor count, only one, and the rest we're going to leave alone. When it comes down to storage, we're going to have to mount the Ubuntu disk here in a minute. So before we can mount that disk, obviously we're going to have to download Ubuntu. We'll show in a minute how to do that. From a network perspective, I usually choose bridged. Bridged meaning that it will use the same network IP address as the rest of my network. So that makes it pretty easy. Another thing I noticed is this promiscuous mode. I always turn it to allow everything so we don't run into problems later. For the rest, we can leave everything alone as is and click OK. So now before we really can start this Ubuntu virtual machine, we have to download Ubuntu. I already uploaded or loaded the URL. This is the URL, ubuntu.com, download desktop. You'll come to this page. This can change over time, but what you want to do is you want to find the latest version of Ubuntu here. It's going to be desktop version. And what you do is you just click the download button here, and what will happen is it will start asking you where you want to save it. I already downloaded it, so you can see I downloaded this one here. I always had the previous version of the server, but this is what I downloaded. So obviously I'm not going to download it again, but all you would do here is click save, and it will start downloading to here. It will take just about a good 15 minutes, depends on your internet connections, could be an hour. But once that's done with downloaded, what you do is you go back to the virtual machine or Oracle Virtual Manager and click on settings again. Once you're there, click on storage. From storage, this is your controller IDE. This is your virtual or your CD-ROM. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach the ISO. So I'll click on the wheel here. So I clicked on empty, then the wheel, then choose a disk. And everything was downloaded. And this is my virtual machine directory. I need to go into downloads. And here is my Ubuntu 2204 desktop AMD 64. This is important if this you're going to have a Windows 64 machine for this to work. And I would click OK. The next thing we'll do is we'll click on the start button. Again, like I said, normal start, headless is where you want to start it up without having any visual. But we want to do normal. So if you click just the start button, it actually will start just up. And depending on the speed of your machine, it will come up. Except it started in my different window, and here it is. I'm going to minimize this one here. It comes up with a little smaller window by default, but it's okay. We'll make it bigger later. Try or install Ubuntu. Let's click OK or Enter. And I'm just going to close these windows here, get a little more real estate. And here we go. It comes up with the window itself. And it's trying to load the operating system right now for installation. This can take just a little bit. Usually it doesn't take too long. After this, we'll be asked a few more configurations. And one of them is and I paused the video for a second. It should be the keyboard. That's the first requirement that should come up to ask what to do. Here we go. Install Ubuntu, and I choose English version. Install Ubuntu. And then it asks what's the keyboard layout, English, and click OK or continue. I want to do minimal installation, not a normal. I just don't need all the extra software. Just minimal, where I do want to download updates while installing Ubuntu. Click continue. The next option, let's see what it is. It should be the network configuration. Yeah, it can go a little slow once in a while. Nope, this one says, be careful, we're going to erase the whole disk. Everything's going to be gone. Let's do that since we're using a virtual disk anyways. So let's click install. And then continue. This is not a warning, just telling you, hey, we're going to write everything to the disk. And things, if you were using a disk that you shouldn't erase, you shouldn't click continue here, but our disk is empty anyways because you're using a virtual disk. So after click continue, get the salute, choose the time zone you're in. You can click around. This is Toronto. Get the picture. Just click around what your time zone is and click continue. Now just choose a name. I'm going to do G. Hagdorens. I'm going to call my computer dev username. I usually choose an easy password here. Password 1234. Password 1234. I usually do log in automatically. It's a development machine. No real security needs to happen here. Let's click continue. And then installation has started. We're going to pause here. And so I paused the video for a little bit and it continues. This usually takes about 10 minutes or so, depending on the speed of your machine, but it goes fairly quick. And we're almost there. So progress bar, Picture will change while you're doing this. Progress bar is going, continue to go. I didn't keep track how long it is now, but it usually feels about 10 minutes. So let's pause a little longer. It looks like it's in the update phase. I could skip before, now I can't anymore because it's unpacking the updates and configuring them. So it shouldn't be much longer. Usually, an update usually only takes about 2-3 minutes. I'm going to pause it again here. Okay, so installation updates completed. Just click the restart button. This window will become way bigger once we apply a few things. And it's restarting. It will say, please remove the medium and restart. All we need to do here is hit enter. So I take the mouse and put the focus on the window and I hit enter. And then it will start restarting. Let's click this mouse pointer integration warning. And the reboot is started. Just depending on the speed of your machine, it will take a few minutes. Shouldn't take too long. If it hangs, I usually close it and then start it manually. It might still, have problems with the hard drive or something. What you can do here is just close this. So since it's obviously hung right, I'm just going to close it, power off the machine. This is okay, it's not going to break anything. And then I'm going to open back up virtual machine and start it up again. What we can do is we could go into settings and in storage. And we see it's empty, so the media is not attached anymore. So we can start it back up. Let's see if it goes any faster now. Here comes the window and Oracle Virtual Machine, and then we have Ubuntu. It says highlight entry will execute in 23 seconds. You can highlight in the window, whoops, and here and click enter, and then it will go right away. So we can wait for this to come up, shouldn't take too long, and then we're going to do a few more settings to make it bigger in the next video. After a fresh install from Ubuntu, what you'll notice next, it might ask you to update the software. You can do install now. I usually just click X because we're going to do that later anyways. And then I don't log into any of the cloud providers. I usually say don't send system info. Next. Location, I don't want my location to be known. And then just click done because we're ready to go.